You haven't heard it much on the news, but the people of South Sudan have been living in severe crisis for over a year now. Almost 2 million people have been forced from their homes. Thousands are battling to survive in horrific conditions. Recent flooding has forced some mothers to sleep standing, holding their babies. The UN estimates that almost 4 million people are facing famine and are in need of urgent humanitarian assistance. These horrendous figures can be so difficult to grasp. The scale of suffering is almost beyond comprehension. We need to be reminded that these are real people, people like you and me, with a family, a heart, and a faith. I want to tell you a story now about an incredible man who touched our hearts and reminded us just how real this situation is. Simon lived with his wife and 5 children in a small village in northern South Sudan. He was an elder in the local church, and when fighting broke out, he offered help to thousands of people who fled to his village for refuge. They shared their food and limited resources with those who had nothing. Because Simon's village was surrounded by swampland, he hoped that the fighting would not reach them. But it did. Panic broke one morning as tanks were seen on the horizon. In the vast and desolate landscape, there was nowhere to hide. Within a day, his village was overthrown by the violent militia. His house was burnt and the village broke into panic. They ran. With the last riverboat already gone, all they could do was hide in the swamps. At least the tanks could not reach them there. As they fled, the terrified family could carry very little except for a few spare clothes and scraps of food. On the 3rd day, the children ran out of biscuits to eat. For over a month, they only ate water lilies. With phone networks down, Simon had no communication with the outside world. His family were beginning to starve. He had to do something. So he made the brave decision to leave them and walk half a day to a rebel-held town to find a phone. Simon prayed with every step. If he was caught, he could be killed on the spot. But God heard his cry. Simon managed to make contact with a friend who knew MAF, and a flight was arranged. Hope was on its way. He rushed back under the cover of darkness to bring his family back to the airstrip at Munda. After so many weeks of hiding, the sound of an MAF plane brought joy like no other. They are now in Kenya, where despite the suffering they faced, the family are once again opening their arms to orphan children who have also made it across the border. This is the kind of story that brings us hope, helps us to pray, and spurs us on to do whatever it takes to help more families like Simon's who are yet to be reached by MAF. Your gift to MAF will mean our planes can fly help, hope, and healing to thousands who are suffering in South Sudan. Imagine the difference you can make to a family like Simon's.